Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras, here with ILTV's morning briefing.
That's it. The Jewish holiday of Purim has finally wrapped up here in Israel, but the city is still vibrating from a weekend of festivities. Thousands of Israelis paraded through the streets of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem dressed in costumes to celebrate the Jewish salvation from genocide in ancient Persia. The festivities began last Wednesday and ended on Thursday, but continued throughout the weekend, and while Purim isn't largely celebrated abroad, even the Jewish Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg joined in on the celebrations. On Friday, Zuckerberg posted a picture of him and his wife baking hamantashen, the traditional Jewish dessert for the holiday. When asked what the pastries were, Zuckerberg responded, quote, "Haman was the villain of Purim, and he famously had a three-cornered hat. These pastries symbolized the victory over him," end quote. Well, Zuckerberg was just one of the tens of thousands of Jews stuffing themselves with the sweet pastry. In fact, Israeli bakeries are still full of the tasty snack, and at least there was one thing that remains of the holiday. That and everybody's hangovers, since it is also considered a mitzvah, or good deed, to drink on Purim. The Israeli Prime Minister and his wife Sarah were both questioned for several hours on Friday as part of several investigations into corruption surrounding both Netanyahu and his associates. The questioning comes amid reports of a brewing crisis within his government coalition that could topple the government and send Israelis to the polls as early as mid-2018. In regards to the corruption allegations against the Prime Minister, Netanyahu himself continues to deny any wrongdoing. There are at least 4 investigations surrounding the leader, who has been in power for 4 terms. Police are recommending that the 68-year-old Prime Minister be indicted for bribery. The latest scandal, known as the Bezek case, or Case 4000, alleges that Shaul Elovitch, the owner of Walla News, provided favorable coverage of Netanyahu, all in exchange for benefits for Elovitch's other company, Bezek. Police have yet to make recommendations about the charges in this specific case, but there has been a media frenzy surrounding it, a frenzy that Netanyahu is calling a so-called witch hunt against his family. In the meantime, a crisis seems to be ramping up within the Prime Minister coalition because of infighting over legislation that would exempt ultra-Orthodox students from military service. Just yesterday, senior coalition partners warned the government was on the brink of collapse and that Israel would be headed to the polls within the coming months. But the Israeli Prime Minister claims that early elections aren't going to be happening, predicting his government will survive through November of 2019. Netanyahu's tenure is supposed to end in nearly a year and a half. 2 Israeli men were reportedly lightly injured in a suspected car ramming attack outside the AKKO train station. The driver of the vehicle was reportedly shot and neutralized. The Magen David Adom paramedics rushed the 2 20-year-old victims to the hospital, and there are no additionally reported injuries. In other news, IDF soldiers shot and killed a Gaza resident over the weekend after the man in the southern Gaza Strip failed to halt while entering a restricted area. According to Army spokespeople, when telling the suspect to stop didn't work, soldiers reportedly fired into the air. When that had no effect, they fired towards him. The suspect, who according to the Gaza Health Ministry was a farmer on his own land, ran away from the shots, but was later pronounced dead at the Khan Yunis hospital. As part of ongoing reconciliation talks between rival Palestinian factions Hamas and Fatah, the Palestinian Authority in Ramallah has now included roughly 20,000 Hamas employees in the 2018 budget. Hamas, on its part, is being asked to allow the PA government to take over major administrative responsibilities in the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian Authority has not yet commented on payroll details for Hamas employees, but Hamas's military wing is not reportedly included in the budget. And while the military wing was always a hot-button topic in the talks, Hamas has made it fairly clear that it doesn't intend on disbanding its military. The PA paints the recent moves simply as more necessary parts of reconciliation and unity, but some Hamas leaders are still crying foul. Hamas official Salah al-Bardawil said the PA, quote, "doesn't understand that reconciliation means partnership and unity to confront the occupation. Rather, they understand it as being part of their effort to remove Hamas from power," end quote. Following in the United States' footsteps, Guatemala announced its plans to move its embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. And now, a Guatemala constitutional court has just rejected a local lawyer's attempt to block that move. Lawyer Marco Vinicio Meija filed a motion that claimed moving Guatemala's embassy in Israel would be in violation to international law. Well, all 5 magistrate judges turned down that request. Guatemala was of just a handful of other countries to show support for the United States after President Donald Trump recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital in December 2017. It is also the first country to announce its own embassy move since the United States. Palestinian officials have made efforts to change Guatemala's mind, but Foreign Minister Sandra Jovel says her country's position is not changing.
That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.